Welcome to the page of your linear packet where we are going to compare the Uptown Moving Company to the Crosstown Movers. Let's begin. Lori's mother needs to rent a truck for some furniture. She must travel a total of 12 miles. Which company is cheaper? Let's compare. We can see that Uptown has given us an equation. And Crosstown, well, they've given us a table. So, let's compare each circumstance. Let's start with our equation. We know that mx plus b equals y. We know that $4 is our slope, but we can also refer to it as our rate of change. Please write down $4 equals m, or m equals $4. Written as a ratio, that rate of change would be $4 per every one, and in this case, it's per every 1 mile. And we can see that our B value is our initial cost, perhaps a $10 deposit or a $10 initial fee. But up front, we have to pay $10 before the truck leaves the parking lot. So let's answer our first few questions. Our equation was given to us, $4 times every mile x plus $10 equals y. Our rate of change, or our slope? Well, we need labels. You should write $4 per every 1 mile. And our initial value, or our y-intercept, happens to be 10, which of course is $10. Now let's do the same for our table of values. Well, we know we're going to have to write an equation, mx plus b equals y, for our table of values. We're going to need our slope, or our rate of change, and we're going to need our initial cost, our start value, before we even leave the parking lot. Let's start by looking at slope. We know slope is a ratio of rise over run, or delta y over delta x. Let's take a look at our delta y, our change in y, and our change in x. We can see that each and every time our y values are increasing by 2, or in this case, it's money, by $2. Our x value, which represents miles, increases by 1 each and every time. So our slope, well, our rate of change, or our slope, is $2 per every 1 mile. $2 per every 1 mile. If we reduce that ratio, 2 divided by 1 is, of course, 2. Let's look at our initial start value, or our B value, our y-intercept, which occurs, of course, at 0, b, right on that y-axis. If you look at the top of the table, that 20 represents our y-intercept. or in this case, our initial start value of $20 before we even leave the parking lot. So if we have to write an equation, we would write $2 times every mile X plus $20 before we even leave the parking lot, that's our initial start value, equals Y. And of course, Y is the total cost with all the fees involved. Now that we have an equation for the Uptown Moving Company and we have an equation for the Crosstown Movers, we can compare. We still haven't answered the question, which company is cheaper for a 12-mile rental, but we will. Let's take a look at the questions below. Now that we have the two equations, 4 times X plus 10 equals Y, this is for Uptown Movers, and 2 times X plus 20 equals Y is for Crosstown Movers. We can make some decisions and complete some analysis. For example, which company costs more for a 5-mile trip? We're going to take that 5 miles and substitute it for X in each case. For example, $4 times 5 miles plus a $10 initial fee. Well, 4 times 5 is 20, plus 10 for the initial fee. If we were to travel 5 miles, we would owe Uptown $30. Now let's try Crosstown. If we travel 5 miles plus have to give them their $20 initial fee, well, we'd owe them 10 plus the 20. So at this point, we would be at $30 as well. So you know what? It's a trick question. For 5 miles, it's a tie. Each company would charge us $30. But what about if we traveled less than 5 miles? Or in this case, more than 5 miles? Answer the questions given here. Pause your video and see if you can do this on your own. When you're ready to check your work, turn your video back on and compare. When you're ready, at the end, we'll also graph this information on the next page. Please pause your video now. So the answer to letter A is they are the same cost. So cross off B. The answer to letter C is Uptown. If you use the formula, you will see Uptown is 54, whereas Crosstown is only 42. So Uptown costs more. The difference is $12. Find the difference by subtracting. It's a difference of $12. And our final question, at what point are they the same cost? Well, we know it's at the $5 mark, or the 5-mile mark. We're going to graph each equation on the next page to demonstrate that. This concludes this page.